Okay, this is section 4.1, part 2, and we're going to continue to graph. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 points I want us to graph. Make sure we've got it. So we graphed 2 last time, and this time we're going to graph -3, 7, 0, 3, 8, 0, and 5, -2, and those are all points that I would like to graph. So if you have your graph paper or from D2L or some other type of graph paper that you bought, that's fine. You can use that too. So -3, 7, where's that going to be? So we're going to start here, the home base, and go to the left, -3, and up 7. And I'm just labeling these. You don't have to label them, of course, but I'm just labeling them in case you need to see what the actual point is, and that's in quadrant 2. Next one is 0, 3. So I'm starting here. I'm not going anywhere because the first part of my point is 0. My x part or coordinate is 0, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm just staying here. And then I'm going up 3. So this point 0, 3, it sits on the y-axis. So it's actually sitting on the y-axis. Okay, and the next one is 8, 0. So I'm starting at home base. Point is 8, 0. I'm going over to 8, but my y coordinate is 0, so I'm stopping. I'm not going anywhere. So this is the point 8, 0, and 8, 0 sits or lays on the x-axis. So one quick thing, if you have a 0 in there as one of your parts of your points or one of your coordinates, you know the point's going to be either going to fall on the y-axis or the x-axis. And my last point is 5, -2. So I'm starting here, I'm going over 5 to the right, and I'm going down 2. So this is 5, -2. So I went over 5 positive and down 2 negative, and this is sitting in my quadrant 4. Now the one thing I needed to say was that 8, 0, the point 8, 0, and the point 0, 3, since they're laying both on an axis, they're not considered to be in any quadrant. Okay? So I did a point in each quadrant, and I did a point on the y-axis, and I did a point on the x-axis. And of course this point right here is 0, 0, and that's always our origin or where we start. So for the Hawks homework, they're going to have you graph or plot some points on a graph. So we can do that now. What they're also going to ask you to do is they are going to give you some points labeled with letters like I did here, and they're going to ask you, well, what is this point? What is this point? What is this point? And we know this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. And I labeled my quadrants, this time with the Roman numerals, so you could see that. Quadrant 2, Quadrant 3, Quadrant 4. So we're just going to say, and this is how it's going to be on the homework, A equals the point what? We need to put those two coordinates separated by a comma in those parentheses. So take a minute and look at point A. What is that? What point is that? So I'm going over, okay, so I'm going over to -8, and I'm going up 4. So my first point is -8, comma 4. And they'll have a space for you to write that on the Hawks homework. So let me go to point B. Okay, make sure y'all can see that. And am I going across any amount? I'm not. I'm just going up to 9. So how would I write that point? It's on the y-axis. It's just sitting there on 9. So I would write that point as 0, 9. Okay. And let's look at C. Move that over a bit. So I'm going over. Okay, I'm stopping at 7. So 7 is is my x coordinate. And then I'm going up +2. So C, point C is 7, 2. Okay, let's look at D. And remember to always put your points in parentheses, because I will take off, I think, a half for that. I think I'll take off a half. So just to remind you. Okay, so let's look at D. So starting here again, I'm going over to 4 positive. And here's 4 positive, and I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and that's -7 because I'm going down. So that point D is 4, -7. I've got one more to do, and that's point E. And hopefully everybody's been following me okay so far. And I've got point E. I'm starting here at home, and I'm going over the negative direction, -2. Put my comma in. So I'm at -2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going down 5. So E is -2, -5. That's the point, -2, -5. Okay, so that's going to be typical of a homework problem where they're going to give you some points that are actually on your graph, and they're labeled with letters, and you have to say or put down what point is that. Label the point. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to finish this section up in the next video.